Today I'm going to be doing a 4x4 small canvas, and I'm using a matte gel Liquitex medium, fluid medium here, and I'm just using a piece of underpaper that it's newsprint that I actually use under any projects or art journaling or painting that I do. I'm just scraping that out with a credit card or an old key card. I really like this little scrap of paper and all of the different details that it has, and I'm just again using the fluid matte medium to as an adhesive to adhere this underpaper down. And I'm putting it on top as well as underneath. Remember that the matte medium is a actual kind of acrylic sealer that goes over that. So depending on what reaction you're looking for, I wanted it to be sealed so that the next layers do not actually soak into the paper. And so I'm just going around trying to use those corners, and I glue them down really well. And I have one corner, as you see, that's just white canvas now after I've applied that underpaper to it. And here I'm deciding what do I want to put in that white corner of the canvas. And I tried text paper and I decided against it. And then I go in for the gesso. I'm going to use my finger as well as a palette knife here to just smooth out the transition from the bare canvas over to the collage newsprint underpaper that I have. Using the palette knife here to just scrape some gesso over and kind of give it some additional texture and dimension. Of course, using my finger, which is my favorite thing, to kind of blend colors together. Don't forget about your edges of your canvas as well. And here I'm just kind of thinking about what I want to do next. And the next thing I'm going to grab is going to be, let's see. And the next thing I'm going to grab here is going to be a Patti Tolley Parrish stencil. This one is the diamond stencil, and I really enjoy using it. I'm going to use some DecoArt's media spray. The DecoArt spray is actually a permanent acrylic ink spray, unlike the Dylusions ink, which is water reactive and water based. I'm using a cosmetic sponge here just to get a little better coverage on it, because sometimes those sprays don't allow you to get a smooth coverage. And here I'm just using that to press on my deli paper that I have underneath. I'm using a little bit of water on a paintbrush to kind of smush that paint around. And now I'm going to go in with some additional colors. I'm going to be using the teal, I think it's teal or turquoise by DecoArts. I'm also mixing a little white in there with it to give it some additional opacity as well as being able to lighten the color up. I'm using the white with the yellow, which is a golden fluid acrylic paint. I really think the yellow just makes all of the other colors pop, so you'll see that I use it pretty often in my work. And you want to make sure that here that you just make sure that you have each layer dry before moving on to the next. So here I'm going to use Donna Downey's stencil with some molding paste. This is Golden's brand that I'm using here. And I'm using my palette knife just to, and here I'm deciding if I want it right side up or left, or how do I want the orientation of the numbers. So I'm just going to put it through. You want to make sure that you have a, the thicker the layer, the longer it's going to take to dry. So make sure you're considering those factors whenever you're applying the molding paste, because it will take a little bit longer to dry. And here I just picked some random papers, stencils there to go through the numbers. I don't clean my stencils very often, but when it comes to molding paste or modeling paste, I do want to make sure I get that off. And then you can just go, of course, and if there's anything that come through the stencil you do not want, you can still remove that. And I'm just going to give this a quick little dry here to get it just dry enough that I can move on to the next layers. So here I'm just taking a Derwent pencil and making some scribbles and scratches because I like that effect that it has. I use that quite often in my work. And here are a few handmade stamps that I've carved. I'm using the StazOn ink pad, and I'm going to use that circle or oval to create some stamps onto the canvas. Remember, StazOn ink is waterproof, and so I don't have to worry about, depending on how many more layers I want, if it's going to actually reactivate with that. So now I'm just kind of looking and doodling, and I'm going to use my Stabilo All pencil to go around the circles that we just stamped, and I'm going to use water and a paintbrush to activate that. I like the way it creates a little depth to the canvas, as well as give a little contrast with the black. I didn't think it was quite enough, so I went back with it. Remember, you can always add to. Sometimes it's challenging to remove, so you could start lighter and then work your way up into a darker. Now I'm going to go back with a little more gesso. And pay attention here where I'm putting the gesso over those pink stenciled areas. It kind of pushes it back into the background. So whenever you have something that's just bringing it's too forward on your canvas, utilizing gesso and white paint to kind of cover up some of those pushes it back just a little bit into your canvas, so that it's not so in your face and not your focal point. So here I grabbed a Donna Downey stamp that I purchased at I can't think of the name of the place where you get it now. And I'm going to use that to stamp with the StazOn ink onto deli paper that I was using as my scrap. I'm going to just press right onto it, and realized I was doing it upside down, but that's okay. I'm going to give it another little test, and then I decide, rather than actually stamping on the canvas, since it's a wrapped canvas and it may or may not actually stamp correctly, I'm going to just take and tear around the deli paper, because if you haven't used deli paper before, it makes an awesome collage material, and actually becomes very transparent on your canvas or your journal page or whatever you're doing. So try that if you haven't. And so now I'm trying to decide where I want to put it, and I'm again using the fluid matte medium to adhere the deli paper onto my canvas, and lining that up straight. And I want to put it on top of it as well as below it. to kind of seal in the stamped lettering there. You are right where you should be. I think we all need a reminder of that every once in a while. And so now I'm going to go in and just take my pencil to color in some of those areas that the stamp did not actually come through. And I like to outline or bring attention to that. I go with the pencil as well as with the pen, just to create some focus around that. And then I decided to go back with some plus signs, X's, little marks over on the corner. And I'm going to activate that. I used Stabilo All with a little paintbrush and water. And just making sure. And that's going to be it, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. Please give me the thumbs up and subscribe.